I've spent more years in the dirt than I care to count, and if there's one thing that'll drive you mad, it's trying to grow everything that catches your eye in a seed catalog. But after all this time, after all the failures and surprises, there are 9 plants I come back to every single season without fail. 9 plants that have earned their place in my garden through decades of proving themselves. Let me show you what they are. Now, the first one might surprise you, because by August, most folks are practically begging their neighbors to take it off their hands. I'm talking about squash. But hear me out, not just any squash. There's a variety called center cut, and it changed how I think about growing this crop entirely. Let me pull one off the vine here so you can see what I mean. Look at this. In its summer state, when it's still green and firm like this, the flavor is something else entirely. Dense, never watery, and it produces more than you'd think possible. The tromboncino types, those Italian ones with the long necks, I grew those for years. This one has a neck too, but it's more manageable, easier to work with in the kitchen. What I've come to appreciate most about these plants is how they work with the rest of the garden. See that arugula over there? It's bolting now that the heat's coming on, but these squash leaves, they create just enough shade to buy it a few more weeks. Not too much shade, just enough to filter the worst of the summer sun. The plant knows what it's doing. After watching this happen season after season, you start to see how everything can work together if you let it. The squash keeps coming too. Little ones forming all along the vine, bees moving between the flowers. It's a system that runs itself once you get it established. That's why it stayed in my garden all these years. Now, if you ask me what the one plant is that I'd grow no matter where I ended up, even if I had to figure it out in the coldest, most impossible place you could imagine, it would be tomatoes. There's nothing in this world that comes close to a tomato you grew yourself. Not from any market, not from any farm stand. Nothing. I've grown more varieties than I can remember, but one kept pulling me back year after year. Cherokee Purple. It's not just the color, though that purplish brown is something to look at. It's the flavor. Most tomatoes you bite into are either sweet or they're sharp with acid. This one found a balance I didn't know was possible. Sweet and acidic, yes, but there's something underneath that, something deeper, earthy, almost smoky. I still don't have the right words for it after all this time. The texture is what I noticed next, firm enough to slice clean, but with this silky quality that makes it perfect on bread, in salads, or just standing at the vine with a pinch of salt. This plant right here, it's already carrying a dozen fruit, maybe more, all hanging on this trellis net I rigged up. If you've never grown Cherokee Purple, you owe it to yourself to try it at least once. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, where the air stays cool and damp most of the year, there's one plant that thrives like it was made for this exact climate. Kale. I've grown my share of varieties, some that spread wide, some that shoot up tall, but I keep coming back to one called Dazzling Blue. The leaves grow flat instead of curled, with these blue-green colors and a purple rib running down the center. Beautiful to look at, whether it's in the ground or in a pot. But what really sold me on it was how easy it made dealing with aphids. With flat leaves, there's nowhere for them to hide. You spot them quick, blast them off with water, and that's the end of it. I let mine overwinter now, let them grow tall and strong. Come spring, they put out these yellow flowers that the bees go crazy for. Didn't know for the longest time that you can eat those flowers too. The garden keeps teaching you things if you pay attention. The second crop that I wouldn't dream of skipping is garlic. Just look at all this. Took me a couple seasons to figure out which varieties worked here, what techniques this soil and climate needed. But once I got it right, garlic became one of the most reliable things I grow. The reason is simple. It stores. For months. You harvest it, trim the roots, cut the neck, brush off the dirt, maybe peel away one of those papery layers, and it sits there waiting for you. Hardneck varieties give you 3-4 months. Softneck can go 6 to 9 if you store them properly. And you use it in everything. Everything. Learning to grow garlic well was one of the better things I figured out over the years. It's become a staple I can count on season after season. Now, this next one is sitting under a cover right here, so let me pull that back. Biquinho peppers. Little beak peppers, they call them. They're popular down in Brazil, and I've been growing both the yellow and the red types for some time now. What I love about these is the balance. They've got heat, sure, but not so much that you can't just pick one and eat it raw right there in the garden. That's my kind of pepper. Something with flavor you can actually taste, not just fire that knocks you sideways. We make hot sauce from these that has this sweet tropical taste with a little tartness and just enough kick to remind you it's a pepper. The plants themselves are small, almost delicate looking, with tiny leaves and little flowers and peppers hanging everywhere. But don't let that fool you. Once they start producing, they don't stop. Small peppers mean more of them, far more than you'd get from one of those big European varieties. And they keep going late. I'm still picking ripe fruit in November some years, even here on the coast where things cool down early. Good raw, pickled, cooked, in sauces, whatever you need. It's a plant I always make room for. Behind me, you see this tall structure sitting empty right now. In a few weeks, it'll be covered front to back with pole beans. I love growing pole beans because they don't ask much of you, and they give everything back. Training them up tall like this makes harvesting easy. You just walk along and pick what's hanging at eye level. One thing I learned after growing too many green beans was to switch to colored ones. Purple pods, golden ones. They stand out against the leaves, and you can see exactly what's ready without searching through the whole plant. Right now, my favorites are Trionfo Violetto, a slender Italian type with purple pods that taste sweet, and Gold Marie, which is flatter, Romano style, sweet and crisp. The purple disappears when you cook them, turns green again, but the flavor stays. That's fine with me. There's another reason I keep planting pole beans. At the end of the season, all that green growth up there, the leaves, the stems, the vines, I chop it down and let it lay on the soil. Protects the bed through winter, feeds it as it breaks down. The garden takes care of itself that way if you let it. I don't think anyone would be shocked to hear that potatoes are the third plant I always put in the ground. I've grown them every way you could think of, bags, beds, straight into the earth. I even lived on mostly potatoes for a month once, years back, just to see if I could do it. But the real reason they're always in my garden is simple. Nothing else gives you that many calories for that little effort. You plant them, you barely water them, and they just grow. I use this drill attachment now. Seems ridiculous. But it works. Drill a hole, drop in a potato with some eyes sprouting, cover it up, and walk away. Mulch on top if you want to hill them, but honestly, you don't even need to. Bury them deep and ignore them. That's what I do. You'll be surprised how much you get, and you'll probably find volunteer potatoes popping up the next year too. For pure food production with almost no fussing, potatoes can't be beat. Now, my last 3 picks are technically cheating because I'm going to say herbs, herbs, and herbs. Look at this bed here. Pineapple sage, French tarragon, chives, thyme, green onions, cilantro, dill, parsley, sage, basil, chamomile. It's all here within arm's reach. We use herbs every single day. If you're going to do one thing in your garden that changes how you cook and eat, it's growing your own herbs. The flavor is nothing like what you buy at the store, and you're not throwing half of it away because it went bad before you could use it. You just walk out and pick exactly what you need, right when you need it. I've got more herb seeds than I know what to do with because I'm always trying something new. But if I had to pick one that I think more people should grow, it's savory. Summer savory, specifically. It's a Bulgarian staple, and it grows beautifully here. There's also winter savory, which is hardier and stays green year-round in our zone. Fresh herbs all winter. You can't put a price on that. Where I live, the growing season gets cut short sometimes. Cold springs, early frosts in fall. So growing big beefsteak tomatoes is a gamble I usually lose. That's why I stick with cherry and currant types. They ripen faster, and I actually get to eat them. 2 varieties have become my go-to, black cherry and chocolate cherry. They're similar, dark brownish red skin, sweet and smoky with this syrupy quality that makes them almost addictive. What I really appreciate is how the fruit grows in clusters on long trusses, easy to track, easy to harvest, and at the end of the season when I need to bring in the unripe ones, I just snip the whole truss and take it inside. Much easier than chasing individual tomatoes all over the plant. I've also grown currant tomatoes, those wild ones. The plants get big and sprawling, but the fruit is something special. Cheese Mania is a lovely yellow one I've had success with. This year I'm trying a new one, an old Canadian variety called Petite Moinote. We'll see how it does. So there you have it. 9 crops that have earned their place in my garden through years of proving they're worth the space and effort. And here's a little bonus for you. Calendula. Beautiful in the garden, useful in the kitchen, and if you have chickens, they love it. Darkens the yolks, gives them color. If you think I missed something that should be on this list, I'd like to hear about it. What do you grow every year without fail? What's proven itself to you? Until next time, good luck in your garden. Keep learning from it.